You are tuned in to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. Join us now on another exciting metaphysical journey. Relax, tune in, drop out, and take a seat by the fire as we explore new realms and possibilities. This is Magenta Pixie. You can find me at magentapixie.weebly.com. But now, here is Zany Mystic and guest. Enjoy the show.
Well, greetings and welcome back. Let's hope you're returning to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. I'm your host, Lance White. Tonight, my guest is Ben Stewart. Born in Tacoma, Washington, Ben is a filmmaker, musician, and researcher. Raised in remote locations of the Marshall Islands and serving 6 years in the United States Air Force, diversity and culture are a natural interest in his research. Some of the main fields of study include gnosis, spiritual science, suppressed history, the occult, comparative religions, mythology, astrology, numerology, depth psychology, and physics. With leading research from cellular biology, DNA, electromagnetism, and sacred geometry, and he is creating quite a stir in the professional fields. Ben is best known for two of my all-time favorite films, which I hope you have all seen, and if not, you should, Esoteric Agenda and its sequel, KYMATICA. The depth and vast scope of these two works has made them standards which all need to be held to. So let's find out more about Ben now. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Oh, well, thank you. It's an honor to have you. My goodness. You broke so much ground in creating, first, the Esoteric Agenda. You were in your early 20s when you put that together, and I just can't believe how you assembled such a vast compendium of information and put it together in such a way that we can all understand, you know, what's happening, and I mean, it's really a masterpiece.
Well, thank you. Really, I mean, like, the biggest credit must go to all the researchers that helped me along the way, meaning all the ones who've done the work before me, all the authors of the books that I've read, the documentaries that I'd seen before that, a lot of the articles and a lot of the research that I was doing was really synthesized by many other people before me. So really the only thing I can truly take credit for from what you said is being able to put it into a palatable form for other people to digest and understand a little bit more, because all of the hard work and the research was really done before me. So my job was a lot easier in that respect, I should say.
Right. Yes, I hear you. I'm familiar with probably quite a few of the people that you pulled information from, and thank God there are others who have blazed a trail before us and will blaze trails after us, let's hope.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, for those who may not be familiar with Esoteric Agenda, what the main, how can I put this into words? What is the gist of the film? What motivated you? What inspired you to make it? And what do you feel is the most important message that you're trying to convey in that film?
Well, for that film specifically, actually what drove me to make the film, I can't say it was really an accident. It was more of, I guess, if it was an accident in any way, shape, or form, it was divine. But I was actually trying to make a music video for the group that I'm in, and as I was working on that, on basically just trying to figure out how to do video editing, I figured I would start with a short, maybe 15-minute documentary of explaining some of the lyrics to the band that I'm in. And from there, what really happened was, obviously, it turned into what Esoteric Agenda is right now, which isn't a music video at all. So what the intent was of the film, that was the original intent, but once it became a little bit more what you would see as, as the documentary that it is, that intent was really to inform people of the fact that the world is vastly different than the way we typically look at it. I mean, I found it to be more interesting than most movies, how the world really seems to tick when you take a deeper look at it, and that was what I wanted to explore a little bit more. So it was more of a very interesting exploration on my behalf to be able to do the film, because as I was researching it, I was really coming across a lot of this information on my own and finding it to be just a magnificent find. And as I was putting the pieces together, you know, as I said before, there were a lot of researchers that had put a lot of these pieces together, but then the wide scope of the information that goes into Esoteric Agenda I found to really correlate in a sense that absolutely every facet of our lives are in some way connected, and I really wanted to portray that, and that was why, you know, there's a lot of conspiracy films and a lot of conspiracy books out there, and I didn't just want to touch base on the negative things that you'd find out there. I wanted to also touch base on the things that really just by ineptitude, by complacency we've come to within humanity. And I think one of the biggest things is the misunderstanding of what time truly is and how time is a personal thing. You know, when I got towards the beginning when I was speaking about, you know, the Mayan calendar, the lunar calendar and things like that, and how it changed into the Gregorian calendar, really the biggest fault there was the fact that we were complicit with such a change to where we externalized time to being something outside of us. And time is an extremely important facet of our lives. It's a foothold in really it's the biggest foothold in our perception of reality that we have, and that was just, you know, one little tiny piece of the bigger puzzle that I was trying to put together for people. But I didn't really see too many people out there making films, writing books with solutions. So I wanted to really, I wanted that to be the apex of the film, which is why I dedicated a large portion of the end of the film to those solutions, because I saw a lot of people pointing out the problems, but there wasn't a lot of solution talk. And if there was any solution talk, it was very vague in the sense of, you know, well, it's just an illusion, and all you have to do is break the illusion. Or, you know, all you need to do is stand together and then, you know, something will happen. I found that to be kind of vague. So when I was putting the pieces together in the solution part of Esoteric Agenda, I didn't want to be so vague, but I also didn't want to make it so specific that people had to follow a certain criteria and guideline. And if that, say, were to fail, then they would be like, oh, well, then, you know, everything Ben says must be kind of crap, because, you know, I tried, you know, I put 2 weeks towards the solution that he gave me and it didn't work. So that's kind of, you know, long story short, what my original intent was with that film.
Well, and I think you achieved that beautifully, because it's so well balanced between, you know, the truth and delving layers beyond what we perceive as reality, and then also bringing it all together and then ending on an extremely positive spiritual note. You know, it doesn't, it's not a doom and gloom movie, and it does leave one feeling that, you know, that there is, that there are tools that we can pursue, and that, you know, we can move forward. So I really think it's a film that everybody should see as mandatory. You know, it should be shown in high school, actually.
Yeah, let's see if that'll ever happen.
Did you, then how long after Esoteric Agenda did you end up doing KYMATICA, and how did that one come about?
It was almost immediately afterwards. Really, the reason, as I said, I wasn't planning on releasing a film, actually. A lot of this research that I was doing, I was really just doing because I found it to be interesting. So when I began getting a lot of emails, the first film I actually kind of did sort of anonymous, because I really wasn't trying to make a name for myself. I actually just wanted people to comment on the YouTube videos on the editing skills, which I pretty much didn't have too much of at that time. So I was really just trying to hone in on the editing skills so I could make a music video for the band. But I would say maybe a couple weeks after the film was released, I decided to put some contact info and a website together. And once I did that, then people started getting a hold of me en masse, asking, random questions, telling me that the film really helped them out, it helped them have a better, a clearer, perception of what's actually going on in the world. And a lot of them actually kind of spilled some deeper, darker secrets that I won't go into, obviously, because they're personal to the people who sent them to me. But some pretty dark things that were going on. People saying that it really helped them move past these things. And that was when I really wanted to start taking it a lot more seriously. Not that I wasn't taking it seriously before that, but I decided that if this was going to be going to the public, I really want to make sure that I'm not shortchanging people, and I want to give them as much as I possibly could give them. So I decided to work on KYMATICA as of this point. And the reason why KYMATICA turned out the way it did was because I really wanted to delve a lot deeper into how we, as individuals, how we become complicit of these, these things that are going on in our world that we want explanations for. But typically what I was trying to show is that without, how should I say it? Without pointing the finger at other people, saying that other people need to point the finger at themselves, what I wanted to do is try and push the fact that a lot of the reason why people find, because now there's a pop conspiracy culture where it's really fascinating to people to look into these subjects, just because it's in some way, shape, or form better than Hollywood, and it's cheaper than Hollywood because you can get it anywhere online, and it's kind of like an interactive thing. Yeah. But what I really wanted to do was to show that it shouldn't just be an escape. It should be a reason. It should be a call to action, a lot of these things. So I really wanted to show people that we have the tools within us to actually make a difference. So it's not just something that we find interesting and we want to learn more about the Rothschilds so we can better point our finger. We want to learn more about central banking and learn more about HARP and learn more about chemtrails and all these things so we can better point the finger. I didn't want to contribute to that. I wanted to contribute to people recognizing the problem for what it was and then figuring out, okay, I somehow have my stake in this. I have, in some way, shape, or form, I have been complicit in the past. How can I stop feeding this monster? And that's really what KYMATICA was about. So when I was working on that film, I tried to give a good balance between actual specific detailed information and very metaphorical interpretive information. And some of the specific detailed information was obviously when I was getting into the suppression of certain texts, the way that tribes were suppressed, and the genocide that happened, because that's something that hits very close to home with me because I've been studying that for probably almost longer than anything else in this field. So when it gets into situations like that, I really wanted to give a nice balance between the details and the interpretive, metaphorical information.
So you might be talking about the way that the indigenous tribes have been systematically erased, so that there's not a record of the way that is communicated with nature. That's the way I interpret it.
Absolutely.
That the ancient ways they're trying to wipe out the ancient ways so that they can rewrite the history of humanity in a way that is capable of controlling it increasingly without a lot of effort from the top, as I see it.
No, absolutely. That's definitely why I wanted to really hone in on a lot of that information. I actually, in more of my latest research, have actually gone even deeper into why the tribes, why specific tribes were killed off, and why other tribes were only taking slaves to actually work the field.